everybody. So I'm back for another review of Life After Lockup, Read Between the Lies, Season 6, Episode 11. If y'all are watching this, first of all, thank you. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Yeah, so this is starting off good. I am kind of mad we didn't get the crazy chick from upstate New York. But nevertheless, this will suffice. I am also a little tired, but I'm loving the fact that I still have a month before I go back to school, which I think is amazing, especially since most teachers get out a month before me and I have to watch all their TikToks about them getting out. All right, so season 6, episode 11. Y'all, Deandre, Joella, and Kiana. Let me tell you what gets me about them is the fact that clearly all three of them have signed up and signed on and signed contracts with WeTV to do this. So they all know about each other. Okay, so it's not as if like this is some foolishness that they're getting paid for, and good thing because the Deandre don't have no real job. Nevertheless, so Joella clearly, you know, she's in this. Okay, I guess they all decided they would make some money off of looking crazy. I guess. So his father is fussing at Deandre about him not moving his stuff. Like, I thought you were moving. Only for his big, sorry, lazy ass daddy who wants to use the room to play video games. Let me tell y'all something. It is so unattractive. And I know I'm not the only person that feels this way. It is so unattractive for a man to be a gamer. Like a grown man to be a gamer. I'm sorry. That is a teenage college thing. That is a sign of immaturity. Unless you are an engineer who makes those, that is ridiculous. That man is clearly like at least in his 60s. Okay, his father's talking about how he's proud of him for, you know, making new commitments to Kiana again. And I was like, no, you're not. You're happy he's moving out so you can be the only lazy bastard in the house. Was he playing video games when he couldn't come get his son from jail? Don't think I forgot about that. It ain't been that long. Anyway, so maybe his father secretly resents him though, considering the way he treats him, for being the kid who told the truth on his father, and then that's ultimately what got him arrested. As if some little boy could know the difference. You shouldn't have been breaking the law. Anyway, that may have been where Deandre learned all this stuff from. Find a woman that could take care of you. But anyway, so Kiana, he's stressing you out, and I can tell. You look tired in the confessional. And I'm not even necessarily saying sleeping, although you may be from all those jobs you do without any help from him, but you look worn in the face. And not even like simply like your hair, I don't think goes well with your skin tone. Like it seems to be the same color. Not simply because of that, because anybody can do that and still not look tired. You look worn, and I feel like this kind of shit will take a toll on you. And I hate that for y'all young ass. Let him go. And at the tip of my tongue at the time was, girl, you are child free. You don't even have no kids. Girl, get out. Well, to my surprise, and to yours too, I'm sure. And I just want to say this. This is not a competition, Joella and Kiana, especially since I already know, even without proof, y'all aren't the only two. Okay? Especially since he has 3 other children outside of Joella's. This prize is not worth it that y'all think it is. It's not. Actually, whoever gets him is the biggest loser. Okay? I know you want to win because he's been sleeping with both of you and triangulating you against each other. He's a womanizer and has some narcissistic tendencies. I think. Tendencies. I'm not saying that he is one. I was young once and got caught up like that, and that was stupid of me in college. And it'll feel bad, Kiana, even if it's against your instincts. But trust me, Deandre is not worth it. Leave him alone. You and Joella both, but especially you, because you don't have any kids by him. Him and Deandre and Joella's son is having a birthday that's coming up. Okay, whatever. Kiana he wanted us to know that Kiana threw his grandmama's ring back at him. I said, that big old cubic zirconium that your father fake gave you, and God rest her soul. But just something about that seemed very set up for TV. If I'm wrong, Lord forgive me. Anyway, so I said, wait, I just knew those kids in the room. They were going to tell us, oh, those are Deandre's other two kids, and they letting them come over or whatever. I did not realize she had kids, and clearly this was not something that I missed in the other part of the season, because you could tell a producer asked her where her kids were, because she says, oh, my kids were with G-Paul, her father or whatever. She never mentioned them. Honestly, whoever their daddy is, are they twins? They look like twins. They're like the same age, right? Anyway, whoever their daddy was could have held it up in court or just didn't sign the release papers for those children to be on TV for all we know. It kept them from being released on film initially. I'm sure she must be giving him some of the money if that's the case. Anyway, I was about to say, who are these kids? But yeah, he has 6. And then she has 2 of her own, but not with him. Girl, get out. Okay? I said, no wonder it's no big deal of you to deal with a man with 6 kids, because you a baby mama too. Now, granted, you are not the same. You have 2 kids, and we know you are employed. Those kids clearly have a home and a house and a yard. And you are not even 30. Kiana, trust me. You can do bad or by yourself. Matter of fact, I'll go as far as say you can do better by yourself. Somebody will come along. Don't break your neck to do that. Don't. It's not worth it. All right? And then you had the nerve to be sending this son of a gun money that you could be putting away for your kids. See, it was different when I thought you were by yourself. I know it was a dumb decision. Remember, I said, girl, you got a house. You're doing good. And she is to be as young as she is. But my thing is, that's money you could be putting away for them kids' education instead of helping a man in jail who was flirting with all these other different women. And while Trump is destroying the Department of Education, and you already know who his main target is, and that's black people. Miss me with the black and brown stuff. We know what he's doing with them. Ma'am, I'm gonna need you to pay more attention. And you live in Texas of all places. Are you kidding me? Anyway, so you made me mad. You brought this sorry ninja out of jail and then brought him around your young kids. And while you enjoyed him, you sent him to live with the grandparents. I knew your mama didn't want to be on camera for a reason. Anyway, because that's like her stepdad, but it's like her dad, but it's her stepdad, whatever. Joella, you know, if you just kind of look like this, is one of those quick ones. She kind of was giving Mel from Love and Marriage Huntsville from a distance, but then when you see her like in an interview, like, oh no, never mind. So and she's not ugly, but she just didn't look like Mel. Anyway, so she's complaining about Deandre not helping her with the table for the kid's birthday party, so she calls her aunt or whatever. You know he's not shit, and I know that's disappointing, but we already know what we're dealing with. Anyway, so Joella had basically told Deandre she doesn't mind Kiana's kids coming to the birthday party or whatever. It's not a big deal to her, but she doesn't want Kiana there. Honestly, if I had kids, which I don't, okay, I wouldn't let my kids go if I wasn't invited and couldn't be there to kind of protect them. And Joella does also simultaneously have the right to not have that be asked at her child's party. I think that's fair. I don't think that. And she's like, oh, she knows I'm going to be a part of your life. Y'all are not married, honey. And the way he moves, you be setting yourself up for a different kind of slavery if you marry him. Anyway, so I don't want to hear about how Deandre is struggling to take care of his kids. That's your fault and your problem. Joella was doing it all by herself, and I'm sure them 3 other baby mothers are doing it all by themselves. I don't want to hear about your struggle. Anyway, so he brought some pizza to the kids all late and shit. Shit that was halfway in bed. Still talking about Fortnite. I said, damn, will you go get a job? That's what I mean. The video game stuff is not, So, talking about Fortnite with his 7-year-old ass and a 30-something-year-old body, I cannot take it. So the producer basically asked, and you can tell it was a black woman, asked, look, are you still sleeping with Joella? And he started laughing. I can't stand it. That's the same stuff Martell would do. And said, he's been there, done that. Why would I go back? But you didn't answer the question. Okay, we know you still sleeping with her. That's why she's still caught up. So he's mad because Kiana is not invited, fake mad, that Kiana's not invited to his son's birthday party. So then Joella lets us know. She's like, Kiana went apparently through his phone and posted her private pictures that she sent him on Facebook. And when she brings that up, he starts laughing. She was like, that's not cool. It's not funny. It was sent to him. And regardless, I will say this to you. It is still private. And putting somebody out like that is not cool, especially both of you as mothers and as mothers who are on TV should be more considerate. I know it hurts you, Kiana. I know. But Deandre is at the root of that. And she would not be responding to him in that way. First of all, they already had 3 kids, but she wouldn't be responding to him in that way if he wasn't responding to her. Okay? I know y'all are kind of young, but y'all got to get it. Okay? And yes, Joella was wrong, I guess. I mean, you know, she had kicked him out and stuff, but okay. I mean, Joella was wrong sending the pictures, but it's not like he was living with Kiana, at least on and off. But Deandre is the problem. And then to say to her, for him to say to Joella, like, woman to woman, you would have done the same thing. I'm like, she sent those to you because of you. Like that kind of narcissistic trash where you're talking to, like, I know you're not going to call me out, so I'm just going to keep talking. You are nothing to fight over. You're still wearing them fucking braids in your head. You have no job. I just can't. Anyway, he doesn't care about either one of you. Because if he did, he wouldn't be pitting y'all against each other to make his ugly ass feel like something to fight over. Because y'all two are not 2 women that should be fighting over him. You have done this on your own for years, Joella, and you're a very pretty woman. Kiana has this stuff under control, everything else by herself. This man brings chaos to y'all. All right? And that's the mother of your 3 kids, Deandre. And that was funny to you? And you know, with attention on a show like this, don't think your kids ain't gonna go to school and hear about it, because too many people are too irresponsible these days and days before. Like, I had the kind of mother who would pull us aside and something had happened and say, I don't care what happens at school, I don't care what you hear other people saying, don't you dare bring that up to them. Don't you dare engage in that. And I respect that so much, because that would have been so hurtful, and it's so easy to jump in that as a kid. But there's a lot of people who just talk real crazy around their kids or whatever. And to be honest, fuck you, Deandre. But also, in fairness, Joella didn't take it out on her kids. Now, she could once they show up. I don't know. She didn't say, oh, her kids can't come. She said they can come. I don't want her there. And honestly, that's a good reason. Because I would have just said, look, we don't have that kind of relationship. I don't want her kids to have to be there without their mother. You're not their father. Whatever. But then my other question was also, why the hell are y'all on Facebook? Y'all are young. Y'all supposed to be on TikTok or Instagram doing that, huh? Don't worry, Joelle. Didn't nobody see that. Anyway, let's say we're over 60. Anyway, y'all are fighting over a man without even health insurance or a steady job. Like, I'm just trying to figure out why. Okay, I need y'all to grow out of this quick. Anyways, we get Justine and Michael again. Justine and Michael, as much as I have the desire to kind of go in on them at times, I have to be honest. I don't mind seeing them. Now, when they said cheaters at a prison, I said, who the hell is that? And then they showed the kids their 2 babies, and I know Justine went through a lot, but those 2 babies are adorable. All their kids are cute, but like, yeah, they make very adorable children. Anyway, so I think it's cute that they do things as a family, as a big family or whatever. And honestly, I appreciate the conversation I saw Justine and Michael have with his 17-year-old daughter. And she was like, oh, I'm going to go to, you know, she liked the school or whatever. And then she was like, but I will go to like a community college of some sort, like CSE or something. And I really respect the fact that while that's not Justine's blood daughter, Justine was like, no, you have the grades to go to a university. And whether Justine or Michael went to a university or not in that capacity, I appreciate the fact that Justine sees her not just simply as a bonus kid, but willing to put forth herself, her work, to ensure that each of those kids are getting an education. I respected that conversation so much because it wasn't like, oh, that's Michael's kid, you figure it out. The same way she approached her daughter, this, and I really respect that. She said, no, she's just saying she'll be okay with that because she thinks we can't pay for it. And they were like, we'll figure it out. Michael was like, OnlyFans. I'm like, this is so stupid. But I appreciate them keeping education at the forefront because God knows it's important for Black kids to get their education, but especially it is discouraging when you feel like, well, I'm a burden in a big family. I'll just have to figure it out. But I really appreciated seeing that on TV and even a show like this. That they were willing to do anything essentially to pay for her education, and they don't want her lowering her goals because of that. And I respect that a lot, because that's not just because they're on TV. I think Justine has a good heart. I don't think she makes the best decisions all the time, but whatever. So Michael is realizing that how expensive it is to have kids. Really? What? Anyway, so one of the girls got into the fight, the 17-year-old, whatever. Mike was right to say, look, I don't want her to deal with conflict like that. I just want to keep her out of jail. To see when my kids go to jail would be the worst thing in the world. Honest to God, my mother scared me out of jail, school suspension would have been on my permanent record, and how it will follow you for the rest of your life. And also, and it's not out of nowhere. Like my uncles on both sides, her and my father's side, had dealt with different kinds of addictions. And my mother's brothers, regardless of their addictions, I will always say, my uncles were the most loving men, who protected us and supported us. I would not have known. And granted, she was the youngest in the family when we came along, but they were, and that's why I try to be sensitive to like drug abuse and that kind of thing, because I know your addiction controls you, you don't control it. But anyway, I say that to say that, yes, you do want to discourage your kids from doing that, because he's right. The police show up, they want to know who did what, and next thing you know, and anything can happen to a Black kid or Black appearing kid. And to be honest, that's the only reason why I stayed out of fights. There were plenty of times, so many kids bullied me, and so many girls did catty stuff, even all the way through college. But there were so many times I wanted to fucking, like, I'll get mad again. So when I heard Justine said, well, she needs to work on her social skills, and I was like, social skills don't necessarily teach anger management. All they do is teach pushing down your anger. I know, because I was one of those kids. And I looked at her, I was like, she's a pretty girl. Girls are going to bully her. I'm not surprised. But yeah, you don't want to see none of your kids in legal trouble over these motherfuckers, because people like that ain't really going nowhere no how. So anyway, Justine, meanwhile, we're already talking about the college education, they're worried about, which is, I think, priority. Justine is expecting to spend $60,000 for a wedding. And Michael's looking at her like she's crazy. Not that I'm saying that weddings aren't expensive and they shouldn't expect to pay a certain amount. But you up here, and she was like, I'm not trying to be a bitch, but I had a jail wedding. Granted, you got a point. But she wants a horse and a carriage and to have it in this castle that she's already identified. And she was like, I don't think $5,000 is a lot to spend on a dress. Yes, it is. That you will only wear once. That's a lot of money to spend on a dress for people with like 9 kids, okay? That's a lot of money. I know, and it depends on where you are in life, but at the point in which money is still a stressor, I'm gonna need y'all to chill. You specifically, Justine. So anyway, we get Jay and Missy, who are apparently Justine and Michael's friends, because they don't have a lot of friends. Well, Michael especially doesn't. Just moving to Nevada because, I mean, they uprooted and went there for his like rap career. Now, what I will say is that one thing I respect about Michael is Michael got to work. He started trying to figure it out. And I can respect that. So the 2 oldest, you can tell, are exhausted. And when Michael got up to make an announcement, the oldest girl, Justine's daughter, was just like, all I could think was, please God, don't let it be another baby. And that's a shame, Justine. She was like, I know my mom said she got her tubes tied. Did another baby? She was like all kinds of relieved in the confessional. So Michael's trying to start a new business. they have a car rental business already with like 6 cars. And he was like, oh yeah, we're who they call. And I was like, are you? People come through Las Vegas airport, they call y'all? But okay. And he's looking into starting a barber shop or whatever because he thinks it's a good form of business. And he says he wants it to be a his and her shop. Honestly, women's hair is where the money is, especially black women, but even white women. Like, women spend more money on their hair. He said he didn't tell Justine yet while he's telling his friend Jay this. Yes, I think the business is more important than a wedding. I agree. But we all know business, well, not everybody, because everybody thinks they can be an entrepreneur these days. Business takes time to build, particularly if that's not your area of expertise. And I'm sure his friend is aware of his notoriety on this show. But anyway, I do think a business is more important than a wedding. And primarily because they're already married and y'all have 2 kids and Justine wants a really big wedding. Am I the only one to notice Justine's daughter looks a lot more like her than she did before and they already look like? Anyway, they look like they could be sisters anyway. All right. So Bianca and Dan, let me just go ahead and tell y'all, they about to fall into that same group with Bradley with no E and Savannah. I hate Beetlejuice, okay? And I wish they would not have brought them back. She is crazy as hell. She looks like Wednesday Addams. Wednesday Addams and Beetlejuice, that's Bianca. Anyway, something is wrong with both of them. But if I'm being honest, I think Daniel can do better. The ring he bought was $90. Look, it is what it is. You know he was coming out of jail. They moved into some new apartment together for a new start. Beetlejuice still gonna be crazy, but nevertheless. And she wants a commitment within a few months, even though they signed a year-long lease. Beetlejuice. Anyway, so she needs to go to school or job. Even before Daniel said it, I was like, she needs to go to school or get a job. Like, I know that settlement money is good, but I was just like, she's got to be blowing through it, moving expenses, moving here, there. She doesn't want to work. And my thing is, it's the same reason why I always work for a certain period in the summer. If I am not making money, extra money, then I'm spending it. That's my thought process. But that's just me. And granted, everything I buy, I don't need, but you know, I work hard. Anyway, so she doesn't want to work. This money will not last forever. And yes, I do believe him that she blows through it because of the way she approaches it. And then she's the kind of, after she blows all the money, will be blaming him for them not having enough money. How come you have done this, that, and the other? Like we've seen her do. That's why I didn't want them to bring her back. Anyway, she stopped drinking. Okay, we don't care. You weren't in jail for that. And it's the same storyline. He's like, he feels a lot of pressure to marry her, and he believes they are destined for each other. You're not. But okay. And he said he craves chaos. And I was like, and that's why they're together. Because she may be the outward expression of what he manages to control on the inside. Honestly, he seems more put together than she is. If there was somebody I was gonna guess had been in jail, it would definitely be Wednesday Addams. Anyway, so he said he had a slip up. He admitted to the woman at the gym who they saw working out as another way to kind of curb the addiction. And I can see that. I can see that. Like I said, the addiction controls you, but not it. So you have to replace it sometimes with something else. Sometimes people use religion and then they become extremists, but that's not what they're doing here. Nevertheless, he said about a month ago he had some shots or whatever, and that's why he hadn't been to the training. It seems to me like he feels more guilt and fear of falling into addiction again. Beetlejuice decides in this process that he's talking to his person or whatever. She's gonna go with Cella Stay. I had forgotten about that. And that's the woman who's engaged to like Daniel's best friend or something. She said she's happy for her, but not that she's marrying his friend because he doesn't deserve her. And I guess it's basically because he was like, I don't trust Beetlejuice. And you know what? He was right. Okay. And shut the fuck up because they're going to see this on TV. But you don't care because you're crazy. Anyway, the friend is pregnant. And Wednesday Addams, and she put on a pretty dress. I couldn't tell her. She must be like early on in the pregnancy. And Wednesday Addams basically said sometimes she is jealous of her life because she has the things that she wants, like a baby, an engagement for a wedding. Then at this woman's dress trial, and I'm not gonna lie, that first dress she put on was beautiful. I mean, like if she walked out with that, I'd be like, okay, that's great. But to go to somebody else's dress fitting and try something on is a really, really bitchy thing to do. And it's a sign of not being a good friend at all. It's like not being a bridesmaid, but then wearing the color to the wedding. Like stop. Okay, and that black guy peeped her because when she tried on that black wedding dress, when he said yes, you look like the ex-wife of a man. You accidentally forced. I said agreed. Okay, another dumbass couple, Will and Courtney. This needs to be the first and last episode. Okay, with them, y'all can put the chick in from Syracuse who's crazy as hell, so I can go in on her. I'm tired of that dumbass storyline. Okay. Then they gave us the flashback to that poor white trash wedding they pulled off. He's asking her mother if she has any updates on Courtney because he hasn't been able to find. It's like 6 weeks or something. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, so because he can't find Courtney, I was thinking to myself, you need to call the police and see if they can find her, body somewhere. What's going on? But thank God it didn't happen. I'm just joking. And he hasn't talked to her. I'm telling you, Will, regardless, her mother is her mother, and her mother knows her better than any human being on this earth. Her mom wasn't going to ever tell on her to you anyway. She don't even know you like that. So his friend that he's talking to, who looked like another science nerd, was like, or, one of the people that put his wife's body in the back of the trunk and then drives it into the river. We don't have no proof of that. I'm saying he just looked like one of them. Anyway, he was like, look, I told you. I want to count how many times we've had friends on here that said, I told you so. He was like, she could be back on drugs or with another sugar daddy. He's not wrong. Those are both reasonable guesses. Anyway, turns out she was back in jail with GHB. I still don't know what that is. I didn't even bother looking up in the Urban Dictionary. But she was like, it's syrupy. And I was thinking to myself, it seems like lean. But whatever. I didn't know what it was, but when the people came in at the halfway house, they found it. So she ended up back in jail. He said she pissed the money away. He's going off about all this money he spent. That was your dumbass fault. You should have kept working on that app for them furry weirdos. Anyway, and then her follow-up question, while she was doing all this dramatic crying, all that bullshit, was like, can you put my allowance on my books? Was it me, or did she sound as if she was not breaking down when she asked that? She was very clear when she asked him for that, and that whining. So WeTV, I'm gonna tell you right now, I caught it. And y'all are low down, dirty, and messy as hell. Because when he was arguing with her about money, that camera went down to show his raggedy ass Jordans. Now, I have never owned a pair of Jordans in my life because I think those kind of shoes are way too expensive. And Michael Jordan should have said something about black kids killing each other over them goddamn sneakers in the first place. But that's not the point. When I looked down and saw them shoes as he was complaining about money, I was like, y'all are trying to get the impression that he can't even buy no shoes or add no laces to them. I'm just saying I caught it. So he had the nerve to then say he didn't sign up to be a prison husband. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. She's an addict. And her mother warned you before you rushed this wedding. You're a dumbass. Okay. So, okay, Leticia and Keith. I don't know if it's Leticia or Leticia, but y'all know what I'm talking about. So we find her in Colorado. Am I the only one who has noticed that everybody, regardless of city or state, when they go to stay in the hotel before they go pick somebody up, they always choose to stay at a Holiday Inn? Like it has a green sign or it's the Wyndham. I don't know, but it's always the same hotel. They must have a contract with them. Anyway, so she's been fronting on this show since Love During Lockup. Wasn't she actually part of the first cast of Love During Lockup? Because we know that hasn't always been a part of this. Anyway, I said, where's that teenage daughter that's not here for it? Oh no, you left her again. I was like, is she okay with this? When did Leticia get out of jail? But apparently she just has an open case. I guess she had to go down there to get fingerprinted or something. Anyway, second degree theft. Okay, girl. How she owned the tax business, I don't know. So she said she didn't take Keith seriously at first when they first started talking in jail because, you know, he was in jail. I said, you should have stuck with that first instinct. But considering your record, anyway, Aunt Marcia is still around. For that to be his family, and he's been in jail for like 11 years, and not hers, she leaves those kids, I don't care if it's two girls or whatever, with that woman too much. That woman is there to watch you. She is not your family. She's not your homegirl. She's in between. And she's, And that's your fault, Leticia, because you are their mother and you're supposed to protect them. And you got that little one feeling like, oh, I want my dad to come home. And that's not even her real dad. And yes, in this case, it matters. So Leticia is the kind of woman that I do not believe was faithful, which honestly I'm glad about, because you really shouldn't be saving yourself for years at a time for a man you can't see and who's in jail. Nevertheless, she's another dumb one who wants to get pregnant with a man, pregnant by a man without a job, straight out of jail, and her money is already tight. We remember how they were moving back and forth. So she rents a party limo, bus, whatever the hell it is. And that white bus driver is asking about the occasion and stuff like that. Honestly, you should have been embarrassed to say your husband was in jail. You weren't embarrassed enough for me. I get the vibe that the bus driver had a hard on looking at her. I have to be honest. Because she did not have that whole jacket covered up. That's why I don't believe she'd been faithful. He was hoping she was a stripper. He was. And he was ready, able, and willing. I'm going to tell you, that's how them Colorado white men are. I don't care. Yes, they're racist. Okay, everybody that owned slaves was racist. I'm telling you, I know, I've been there. That's how them white men out there are, okay? He would have forgotten that for the 2 minutes. Anyway. So they are driving from Colorado to Iowa. Is it just, I can't be the only one that goes, Iowa is a weird place for black people to go and live and settle. I'm sure at some point during the Great Migration, but it just seems like a very strange place for black people just to be. Anyway, but there's a lot of black people in Nebraska. Like Lincoln, Nebraska is actually a very black place. And that's something like I knew, but it just seems strange. So anyway, this tramp is in her lingerie with a black trench coat with pink furry heels running to his lame ass out the bus stop. No, ma'am. I don't know who you thought you was fooling with that outfit, but that's why that limo bus driver was ready, able, and willing. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. That's in Denver, in Colorado, men are. Anyway, she gets to the bus, and he has flowers for her. He's like, I got a plug, which was actually nice. I will say that because we already know these people are not on the up and up, but I will say that was nice. I will say that he also looked a lot cleaner than most men when they get out of jail. His hair was twisted and stuff. He at least wanted to look good for her. I do not respect men who walk around looking a mess. I think the whole natural hair thing has gotten lost. And black men just walking around sloppy as fuck. Y'all know how I feel about the C's and waves. I feel like that's a lost art. And the fact that black men don't feel obligated to look good for us is a problem. Walking around with your hair not even combed. A-Trap Brown, Bobby Rush, Fred Hampton, you call a roll, Huey P. Newton. Like their afros were always picked. Y'all do realize that, right? The natural texture of your hair did not mean that they went around looking a mess. Anyway, he can hardly talk because of all that gold in his mouth. How the hell you had that in jail? Anyway, ew, I can't, no thank you. He seems, I do want to say though, despite the fact that it's hard to understand him, he does seem a lot more clear-headed in the sense that he understands, like, look, I made a mistake and it was wrong. And yes, I told myself I was providing for my family. And honestly, he was. I'm sure, it's fast money, quick money, but you could tell he realizes, like, I fucked up. And he never wants to go back to jail. And he's one of the few people that I've seen that with that kind of clear mentality. And I think those people do much better when you just kind of own it instead of like, oh yeah, if only this wasn't the case. And granted, people go into the underground economy for a lot of reasons. I won't say nobody, plenty of people. But there are people who don't want to see their kids not happy. And yes, it is fast money, but you have a whole fucking con man and felon as president. I think it should be easy for them to get a job. That question shouldn't be on the goddamn application. Moving on. So they're at a rest stop, letting him change into new clothes. Okay, girl. Anyway, she decided they could take the limo all the way to Iowa. And to me, that just sounded weird. Colorado and Iowa are not next door. Okay, let's be clear. And I'm glad he was asking the same questions like, look, this may not work because I need to check on my PO. He's not going back to jail, and you should have considered that. I know she is going to be a effing mess. I promise you, I think she is going to be a bigger problem than he is. Something tells me she is going to be a problem, and not just because of that open case, but because of her behavior. When she was like, she wants to have another baby. Why? You don't spend no time with the two. You keep leaving them with Aunt Marcia, who ain't even your real aunt. And she said, I'm pushing 40, baby. See, you're doing that Mia Thornton stuff. Let me tell you something. Yeah, you pushing 40. You push way past it, like at least 5 years past it. You ain't fooling me. So they apparently are going to take the bus instead of the limo. She's like, oh, I'm going to ride it with you. Like, girl, put on some clothes and a t-shirt. I'm confused. That driver thought he was going to make some money by going. Anyway, both of y'all, please go get an STD test. We need this to be clear, and we need the rules. All right. Last, JK and Brooke. So they are doing a pre-seed gel. Like, you know how you have like KY gel? Well, this is supposed to help them conceive a child. First of all, Brooke and JK, y'all are way too young. She's already carried to term 2 healthy children. Your chances are better when you've already carried a child before to have a baby. And she's like fucking like 29, 30. Like, girl, stop. Okay? And they're trying to have a baby, and she wants one because she wants to trap a loser into having a family, and he wants a way to control her. Both of them have no business having another child or having a child for the first time, JK. So JK, I had not forgotten about how he snatched those keys out of the ignition when she was driving, which could have killed both of them, or the way he was up in her face doing all of this. That to me is feelers for how he treats women. You ain't telling me that. He's put his hands on plenty of women. I'm telling you that right now. I can tell. And he's, never mind. Don't let me start on how ugly people are on this show. He's abusive. That's I'm sorry. He has all of those characteristics. I can't prove it. But my impression is that he's abusive. And I say that to say, you're dumb for wanting to have a baby with him, Brooke, but he ain't shit neither. She's sleeping on his parents' floor again until his ankle monitor is off because you don't trust him without him. You don't need to be with him, baby. You got 2 whole kids to raise. And your son is moving into that preteen stage, and that testosterone and hormones gets to raging. And testosterone also provides a level of energy for boys that goes into forms of violence. And if you are not around and being that loving and caring, nurturing mother, I'm not saying to not correct him. His resentment for you not being in his life is going to be taken out on every other woman in his life. And you'll be visiting your baby in jail. I hate to say it like that, but that's what happens. Anyway, he's not worried about getting a job, but she's worried about him having a job. If that's the case, Brooke, please date a man that's not in prison. Y'all making pallets? That's what we did at sleepovers. Anyway, but she's spending the night there. But apparently, you know, her mother, grandma is a perpetual babysitter. Grandma is sick of her. And she ain't said it. Well, she kind of said it. But anyway, she's badgering him about what's going to happen if they have a newborn. Y'all don't need to worry about having a newborn because you don't need to get pregnant, darling. Condoms, I'm telling you, one of the greatest technological inventions, okay, that constantly keeps getting better. Don't ask me why. Keeps getting better. Anyway, ma'am, you can't spend time with the 2 kids you have without pawning them off on your mother. That also lets me know you don't need to have another baby that you need to neglect to follow him around, who ain't got shit going for him. So not only are the baby daddies trash of the two, you gonna go find another trashy. Anyway, JK looks really hefty in the chest, and so does Michael, but I feel like Michael's comes from like being in the gym, but also because he cut his hair, I think it's more pronounced. And he's also tall. But JK looks like his shoulders look more broad. I'm not sure what to attribute that to. Anyway, the mom is complaining. His mother stayed complaining. The same one who wanted to share a bed with Brooke on her dime. Anyway, with her grown ass. So the mom is complaining that essentially because she feels like her house is getting smaller and smaller, there's too many people. Brooke should not want to be laying on the pallet when she has her own home. Okay? So she was telling him, look, I'm not saying anything's wrong with you wanting a baby, but you need to be stable before you have a child. Yes. That's not an unreasonable request. Okay? So anyway, I guess she gets on her phone, asks Siri, and she's like, how much does it cost to raise a child until 18? The little computer, Siri, whoever the hell she was, says $375,000. I said, you a goddamn lie. I don't believe that. I don't know what kind of poverty, barely poverty threshold money that is. Y'all must have done the bare minimum for that kind of calculation. And that seems like the government, their kids can't have enough. The billionaires and millionaires, because their kids can't have enough. Ain't no way in hell. It's definitely more than that. You spend more than that just on daycare, kindergarten, shoes, clothes, and the way kids go. Are you kidding me right now? So no, y'all shouldn't have. But I said $375,000. Girl, you a motherfucking lie. So every time I see Waco, Texas show up, I just get nervous. Anyway, so she goes to a restaurant with Bonnie, JK's friend, who became her roommate. Because Brooke was kind enough to let Bonnie live in her home, despite the fact that she told on his last girlfriend, Alex, was cheating, and was talking shit about Brooke to him while he was in prison. She let him live there. Bonnie, I do not trust. I do not like. Okay. But Brooke told her basically she needs to talk about the bills. She was like, I can't keep paying all the bills. She said, I can't keep paying your half and mine. I said, so you pay all the bills. And this chick is not paying her half. You are not my sister. You are not my child. Okay? So she asked Bonnie, like, basically, are you going to be more loyal to me than you are to JK? Now, granted, considering all the factors, yes, Brooke, while you're a whole damn fool for asking that, like, oh, is she going to be a pick-me or a girl's girl? Neither one of y'all are girls. Okay? But I would have never let that tattling ass bitch in my house. I don't give a fuck if she did tell on Alex. Okay? Fuck JK. But I'm going to tell you right now, Bonnie ain't got no loyalty to you, and she should have been grateful that you gave her sorry ass a place to live. And this shit not to be living with you and not paying her part of the bills when you got 2 kids and a whole man that just got out of jail. So anyway, then we see JK trying to go buy a truck, and he says he can't afford it, but he wants one to be able to help his family. Well, baby, getting in debt for a car, you can't. When did he get his license? But I really need to understand in these different states when people get straight out of jail and then they get behind the wheel. Like, do you automatically get your license back? If you do, fine. Let me know. Because there's not a reinstatement fee, and I have to go register my car every 2 years. I do it, so I don't have to worry about it. But I just need to know. I really need to know, especially with these True IDs, enhanced licenses, and all that stuff. Moving on. All right. Brooke said the day she walked out of her job because she got upset because JK went to go see Alex, she got fired. I said, so your mother fired you. Good. She should have. Okay. She already babysitting probably for free. We know you don't give her no money. Then Bonnie was like, well, that was irresponsible. Meanwhile, you living in her 2-bedroom apartment with her whole name on the lease where she's been paying the bills, where she has her kids, if they're not a grandma. And Brooke's been paying all the bills, which means Brooke probably would have kept paying the bills if she had a job, while Bonnie is basically living off her. And you don't even have DC to say, Yeah, girl, you told me, but I ain't hear it. Bitch, what? Find somewhere to live, and then you can go tattling on Brooke. Okay? She and JK, she said JK will leave her if he finds out she doesn't have a job. Okay, Brooke, that's already an admission. Letting you know you are not in a relationship that is good for you, because a man walking out, he ain't shit. If you don't have a job, motherfucker, get to work. And he living with his mom. So many problems. Anyway, that is not a man you need to be with. He wants you and every other woman in his life to take care of him. Bonnie wants him. The problem is he don't want her or his type, but he'll use you to stay in all the chicks' business. Anyway, that's all I had to say. Y'all put the stuff down in the comments. Let me know what y'all think, and I'll talk to y'all soon.